This is the house I'm working on the beach side, probably about half a block from the ocean. And the salt air has caused the window sills to crack, and some of them are already falling off. What happens is the salt gets inside the windowsill, and the piece of rebar that's in there will rust. And as that rusts, it'll expand and it'll actually break the concrete of the windowsill. So you have to take it all off, take all the concrete off, and you have to make sure you get that piece of rebar out. And you can see on this little piece I'm going to break out, you can see just how rusted that is. And there's no way to stop that unless you get it out. And this is my form that I'm putting up. This is just a 3/4 inch plaster stop. You can use 1x4s or whatever you want to use. I use these because I can put them up with little stub nails and just hand nail it. If you're going to put up the 1x4s, you have to tap con it or use cut nails to get it to stick. And it just seems like more work to me to do it that way instead of just putting up the plaster stops as your form. You want to make sure you get all the dust off. Take a good brush and make sure you get all the dust out of all the cracks. And this is a very important part right here. Make sure you roll it with a concrete bonding agent. And make sure you get in all the little cracks and everything. That'll help the concrete to stick. And this is regular concrete. This isn't stucco cement that I put on for the first 2 coats. You want to make sure you jam it into all the little gaps and so you don't have any voids in there anywhere. You really want to force it into all the little crevices. And as I mix this stuff, I also put bonding agent in the mix of the concrete too. And that way you got bonding agent on both ends of the spectrum. That first coat is sat up for probably a couple hours, and I'm putting the second coat on to fill it all the way out to the form that I got, my plaster stop. You can fill it all the way out. And this is better if you don't make it real slick, if you leave little voids in it. That way when you put your stucco cement on, it'll have something for it to stick to. Scrape off your top edge. Now this is the next day. The concrete's plenty hard, so I'm scraping off all the excess, all the little gravels, so you don't have to worry about those when you're putting your stucco cement on. Scrape off the edge of your plaster stops. And you're going to do 2 coats of this too. I'll put this one on and get that top edge relatively straight. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight because the next one you will get very straight. But you want it to cover the face and the top of it. And this is where you get your corners, that top corner pretty straight. The problem with using the plaster stops instead of 1x4s is you have to freehand that top edge. So you gotta have a little bit of knowledge of what you're doing, making sure that top edge gets straight. And here I'm taking a brush and just cleaning the window just with water, nothing special. And then after you put that first coat of the stucco cement on, you can take your form off, and you might have a little bit of overage from the concrete. Just scrape that off. It should pop right off the next day. If you leave it on there for a couple days, it might be a little harder to get it off, but the next day it should pop right off. Now this is the finished coat of the stucco cement again. You run a coat on it all, and this time you do need to make sure you get your top line nice and real straight. You also want to make sure you run both ends, because with the form you might have a little gap there, and you want to make sure you run the bottom. Even though nobody's ever going to see it, you want to run it just in case they ever do look. That's where your reputation comes in. Your reputation's only as good as the job you're working on. And if you'll look down the line, if you'll sight right down the line, you can see where if it's straight or not. And here's a little skip texture I put on. And here's the face of it. Here's how you put the texture on. And then go back over it and just flatten it out just a little bit, just so you don't have any rough edges on it. And now you're going to clean the window again. Make sure the window stays clean. You don't want any excess cement on the window. Again, that's just water and a brush. And you want to brush your angles where it meets the block walls too. And here's the other side of the window. Make sure you keep it real clean. And again, you brush your edges. Now underneath, you want to scrape off any excess stucco that you have on there, and then brush that too underneath. Again, more than likely nobody's ever going to see it, but you know it's there. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And then go to the other side and do the other side. And then one little trick that makes it look even better is you take a real soft sponge and very lightly just hit the corner, and it kind of rounds off the corner a little bit, just to give it a little more detail, make it look more professional. You can wait to do this. If you wait a little bit, it's a little easier. It's not so soft. And there you have it. Now you got a nice, pretty windowsill. Looks like it never had a problem before. And there's no rebar in there this time, so it's not going to rust out again. So I wish you luck. If you have any questions, just write it in the comments and I'll get back to you.